Apart from the Sharon and Roxy, we also went for Robin, Naina, and Owl and other stuff. So because basically our campaign is to make the game. Yeah, because we don't want to cut one people. So we are very permissive about the type of material. It's one situation. This is one situation. Yeah, we are working with supporting.
Thank you for the management of Hotel giving us an opportunity to come and interact with you, to support the cause of the Sparrow and to celebrate World Sparrow Day in the campus. Now, I'll take you through a presentation which I call the beautiful world of the sparrows. Now, mostly people say sparrow is a very plain bird, it's a very non-glamorous bird. So there is very little information about sparrows, the way they lead their life, everything. So through this presentation, in case you have any questions, please ask in the presentation. Now, what you see here is the range of the sparrows.
Like what all you see in the red is the range where the sparrows were native to. And the thing that you see in blue is the range where they were introduced by humans. Like Britishers are fascinated by sparrows. So they took sparrows wherever they went. And this is how they took sparrows to North America. After repeated introduction in Central Park and other places, they finally managed to introduce sparrows in North America. But sadly today it is one of the most invasive species there, and it is harming a lot of native species. Apart from this, sparrows are present today globally. You don't find sparrows only in Siberia and certain other places where it is too cold. But wherever there are human beings, you will always find sparrows. You will not find sparrows in deserts or forests where there are no human beings. So it has evolved with us for past 10,000 years. So it's a companion with us, which is even more older than the domesticated dog or the cat. Now, the sparrow is also a great survivor. Like you will find sparrows from a sea level town like Bombay all the way till Ladakh, which is around 14,000 feet above sea level. And there are very interesting stories about sparrows. Like a pair of sparrows survived 600 feet below the ground entirely on the food which was given to them by the miners in UK. Now, someone asked me that how do we distinguish between a male sparrow and a female sparrow? So, what you see behind, the male sparrow has a bead, a black color thing below, and the female is plain like that. Oh, just a second. And the stronger a male, the bigger the bead. So, a dominant male will have a bigger, blacker bead. Now, something again which is very interesting about the sparrow is the type of food they have. The young ones of sparrows survive entirely on an insect diet during the first 15 days of their life. And this is one of the reasons also that they are declining, because today you don't find so many insect caterpillars in and around them. Apart from that, sparrows are omnivores. They eat anything and everything right from the kitchen scraps, grains, buds, flower birds, everything. So wherever humans throw any food, you will find sparrows. I would like to share another thing. Whenever I come to Bangalore, which is quite often, I try to, while going, I try to reach airport at least 1 or 2 hours early, because Bangalore's airport, it is full of sparrows. And the reason for this is one of the architecture that the Bangalore airport is, and on the opposite side, there are grasslands which right now they are unexplored. And you will find a lot of the food which is left by the tourists, they eat that. Now, when you eat this type of food, what you see there are the aphids. Aphids are small insects which are found on the plants. And sparrows eat a lot of aphids. But today, because of pollution and the type of fuel we are using, the aphid population has also gone down. And that is another reason. Then you find a lot of sparrows in vegetable markets. Like I have even been told, like the old village vegetable market in Bangalore has a lot of sparrows in and around it. Now, the nest building activity of sparrows is very typical. You'll find sparrows making nests anywhere and everywhere, wherever they find a crevices. And there are very interesting stories with the nest building activity of sparrows. So many times sparrows have picked up cigarette butts and taken to the nest for nest building, which has caused fires, major fires in a lot of places in UK and other things. So they use a lot of nest building material, which is right from plastic to other type of garbage which they use to make the nest. There is also a very typical thing when sparrows make a nest in a cavity, in a natural cavity or in a nest box, it's very shabby. But when they make it on a plant, it's very neat and cup shaped. So last time when I came to Wipro on the other side, near Strand bookstall there, I saw some plants on which were very neatly built nests. And the same thing I even saw in the Hyderabad campus. They made nest which was again very unusual, of around 6 feet in height, which signals that there is lack of nesting sites.
Now, previously this type of old buildings, they had lot of space where the sparrows could make their nest. But today it has all changed. The new buildings don't have any place where the sparrows can make nests. Now, can you just make it a little clear? This type of nest building material, they hang some grass, cotton wool and other things, or hair of dogs and other things. So the sparrows come and pick up the nest. Usually the sparrows will make nest with dry grass, hay or other garbage. Now see, to address the lack of nesting site, what we can easily do, we can put, when we are making a new house, there should be natural cavities which should be left in the house, and 1 or 2 missing bricks can be kept. I've consulted a lot of architects and engineers, and they have told that 1 or 2 missing bricks doesn't affect the structural integrity of the building in any way. Then we can keep the nesting boxes which you see there, the artificial nesting boxes. Or you can simply keep a shoe box, but the shoe box should be in a place where it doesn't come in contact with water, or it doesn't come in direct contact with the predators, because the shikra will come and tear off the shoe box. Now, the sparrows incubate their eggs for around 15 days, after which the young ones come out. The young ones are again fed by the parents for around 15 to 16 days. Then they start fledging and flying off. And this is the time when they need an exclusive insect diet. And today, sadly, because the insect population is low, they can't find so many insects. And that is one of the reasons why the mortality rate of the sparrow young ones have gone high. I've seen in a nest which has around 5 to 6 eggs, hardly 1 or 2 survive because of the lack of insect food. And the parents keep on bringing grains or other things instead of insects. Now, sparrow is like a social bird. It always stays in a group. It will have bathing, feeding, everything in a group. One of the reasons is like deer, sparrow is a species on which a lot of other higher birds also survive as food. So they get protection in numbers. The chances of finding food or other ecological habitats for them also increases drastically. Now, like humans, the sparrows are very possessive about the time they bathe, the time they have a sunbath. So every morning around 9ish or so, they will have their first dust bath followed by a sun bath, and then they will roost they will take a sun bath again. So this helps them keeping themselves away from predators. This helps them keeping their feathers in prime condition. And sadly today the sparrows don't even find a place where they can take a water bath or a dust bath. So we also request you all, as summer is approaching, please keep a bowl of clean drinking water which is changed every day, which the birds can use for drinking and breathing purposes. Now again, you find sparrows foraging in unique, like I have seen sparrows foraging in vegetable market, in chilies and all that. They forage in and around places where there is garbage. You'll find them foraging in and around open grain stores. And they also take a siesta in the afternoon, like in the afternoon when the sun is very high, after 12ish, and in between 2 to 3 days, you'll find many times the sparrows are not seen. So that time you see them resting in some places. Now this is another very important thing, roosting. Like if we don't sleep at night, we'll get tired. So in the same way, sparrows don't even require roosting trees, which are huge leafy trees, where they go and sleep at night, which is called as roosting. Now sadly, this type of large leafy trees are also today not found. And they are finding it increasingly difficult to find roosting trees. So we would also request you to plant trees which are leafy and native to India. Now, many times I have been asked that why are sparrows important? What role do they play in the ecosystem? Now, because the sparrows were so large in number, they play a very important source of food for a lot of predatory birds like shikra, falcons and other things.
At the same time, sparrows themselves eat a lot of insects in the agricultural field and other things. They eat a lot of caterpillars. So, a pair of sparrow will easily eat around 600 caterpillars in an hour, or to feed their young ones. So you can imagine the amount of free insect control that they do for us. But we humans are stupid. We keep on spraying poison in the agricultural fields. We eat the same poison and we get so many diseases. Another thing, the sparrows are very important bioindicators. Because they have been with us for past 10,000 years, the ecological and environmental changes which happen in our environment, they are easily reflected. So today, in a lot of European countries, the rate of properties depend upon the bird diversity which is found in and around that place. So a house which is having around 50-60 birds will be very costly compared to a place which is devoid of any birds and butterflies. So this directly indicates that wildlife is found in areas where the environment is clean, water is clean, air is clean. So we should also bring the same quality of life concept in India. We should be pressurizing the government to give us places which are more bird friendly, wildlife friendly, because naturally those places will also be pollution free for us. And today the decline of sparrow also signifies it's a bioindicator that signifies the degrading state of the environment in which we are all living. Like the cannery approach. Have you heard about the cannery approach? Like previously the miners didn't have sophisticated equipment to sense the poisonous gases. So they used to carry a small cage of canaries while they were working. And as soon as the poisonous gases were emitted, the canaries used to smell it and they used to chirp loudly. The miners used to run out with the canaries. So that was the indicator of the poisonous gas. So today when we are not finding sparrows in and around, it signifies that how polluted or poisonous is the environment is. So maybe that effects are from microwave or from pesticide and all that. We are just unable to interpret the signs which nature is trying to give us. Now see, sadly, we still have some traditional beliefs where sparrows are caught and then released. Like if you release sparrows or birds, it is good for karma and all that thing. But you should always remember that every bird that are released outside temple, there are 5 to 10 birds which die in the transit. So you should discourage such kind of traditional beliefs. Then also sparrow meat or the male sparrow meat is used as an aphrodisiac and other things. So all this thing is taking the toll in few or less amount of percentage. Now I'll be just talking in brief about the threats that the sparrows are facing today. One is from the predators. Today there is an unnatural population of crows and domesticated cats. Now a domestic cat doesn't kill for food, it kills for fun. And that's why if you see the amount of species that a tiger or a lion eats, a tiger eats around 12 to 13 wild species of animal like deer and wild boar, because it consumes it. But the scientists have calculated that a domestic cat kills around 80 different species of animals, because it just kills for fun. It doesn't kills for food, and that's why a domestic cat also kills large number of sparrows and other small birds. So if you have a pet cat in and around your house, just put a bell inside so it doesn't kill the birds or other things, because it doesn't survive on that food. People feed those cats. Now today even crows, I don't have so many crows in Bangalore, but if you see the number of crows in Bombay, they are just everywhere. And they eat everything from a sparrow to a coppersmith barbet to a sunbird. So this unnatural population which is human induced is taking its toll on sparrows and other birds. But previously we had houses which had tiled roof, which has a lot of nooks and crevices to make the nesting sites. But today we have glass and aluminum composite matchbox shaped buildings which have no place for the sparrows to make a nest. And we have urban green deserts, what I call. Like most of the landscape gardens that we see everywhere in the country, 95% of those plants are not native to India. So they are of little use either to us or to the wildlife. So we should be planting in more and more species which are native to India. Also, hedges have been lost. Like previously, all houses used to have a hedge, but today we have walls, we have fenced wires, we have big type of other things, but we don't have native hedges. And in hedges, the sparrows don't only find food, they don't only find shelter, but whenever a predator attacks, they just crush into this thorny hedges. So today, all our hedges are for Duranta, which is a native, not native, it is a poisonous exotic plant, and they're this small. Hedges should be at least this size, and they should be quite thick. Now, this is one of the most contagious issue again, microwave towers and cell phones. They are taking a toll on the wildlife and other things. And India has the second largest cell phone user base in the whole world. So recently, 6 months back, the central government has formed a Center Empowered Committee to study the effect of cell phone towers on wildlife and sparrows. So I'm part of that committee, so we are trying to review in a very professional and scientific manner that what are the causes, whether the cell phones are really harming the birds or whether more research needs to be carried out from the Indian context on this thing. Now this is next thing, the change in farming pattern. Like today if you go and see farmlands, again like exotic gardens, most of the stuff that we are eating today, that is also not native to India. And most of the things that we see farming is today carried out in greenhouses. It is carried out with a lot of pesticides, lot of insecticides, what we call as commercial intensive farming. Then previously the farms also used to have hedgerows, they used to use non-invasive things, but all that has changed today. These are the modern landscape gardens that you see everywhere in the country, and I've traveled so widely from Delhi to Bangalore to Assam to Gujarat. You see the same set of plants throughout the country. While in nature, the plant diversity changes after every 50 kilometers, 30 kilometers. So in Rajasthan, you don't find tropical plants, but you find the same thing even in a garden in Udaipur. And when we have this kind of artificial gardens, we don't calculate the amount of energy, the amount of water, the amount of electricity, resources which goes into maintaining this urban green deserts. Like how we wear a cap, we wear a sweater in winter, we don't wear a sweater in summer. In the same way, we need to understand that the plants also need to shed their leaves, they need to flower, and they don't need to look green throughout the year. So that thing has to be incorporated in the thinking. Now there is also a lot of food scarcity as far as sparrow is considered. So previously women used to set out clean grains, but today it's a mall culture, we get everything ready-made in a mall. And there is no way my poor sparrows can get into a mall. So everything has changed and there is lack of food. Even in the farmland there is so much amount of poison that even if the sparrows go in, they eat some grain, they get poison into the systems. So we are working to change all that, and that's why we have designed a bird feeder through which the sparrows can get a year-round source of food. So even the grain storing and mechanism has changed. Previously the godowns used to be a place where sparrows could at least sneak in. We had humans who used to cut the grains. But today we have this commercial harvesters which not only cut the grain, they pack it while they are moving. So there is very little spillover from where sparrows or other birds or animals can have. Now I always believe that solutions are far more superior than problems. So we should be finding out solutions to save sparrows and other birds. And this is how we should do to save the birds. We should be gardening for birds. Like I know a lot of people enjoy gardening. But we just do gardening of the plants that we get in the nursery or what our mali or gardener sees. So we should be planting native plants which are good for birds. We should be maintaining different heights in the garden. And above all, we should be doing chemical-free gardening. So if you get caterpillars in your garden, don't put poison, because the same caterpillars will turn into butterflies which you all love. Or the same caterpillars would be